What do you like about corn?
It's cold. A good corn get knobs. It has the juice. I can't imagine a more beautiful thing.
That the policy of Duterte himself was for the police to use lethal force only in self-defense. We can display that on the screen, and the part I want to read is highlighted. And President Duterte was very clear on this matter, he said, Aguirre, that there will be no killing of unarmed offenders, meaning to say that you use force only when your life is in danger. Later on, in the very same interview, Aguirre would repeat the same theme which exculpates Mr. Duterte, PHL OTP 00090340 at page 4. And I read out the relevant passage which is highlighted once again. They are supposed to arrest them, but when they fight back, then the President has instructed them that they must first protect themselves. So much for Mr. Jeremy's elastic mouth theory. Even he thought that Duterte's speech was bifurcated, and even if he did think so, his so-called perpetrators did not. So why does the prosecution cite the excerpts which support its case so selectively? Well, I'm not going to impute any malfeasance, but I can hazard a wild guess. I would suggest that the people reviewing the prosecution's massive databases for suitable evidence are performing keyword searches. Most likely, some of the most utilized operands were the words kill and perhaps sometimes neutralization or neutralize. Once the member of the prosecutor's staff has his hit, he excises the excerpt, rejoices that he can slot it into the predetermined case theory, and does not bother to read the rest of the item of the evidence, where the exonerating evidence is unequivocal. Turning to the sixth indicator of the supposed criminal plan, as set out in paragraph 29 of the pre-confirmation brief. None of the speeches imputed to the former president, nor the use of what the prosecution calls dehumanizing language, dehumanizing language by the alleged co-perpetrators suggests criminality. I would suggest that it is within the bounds of acceptable, albeit extreme political discourse, to refer to drug users in such a way as beasts, animals, or to the barangays as being plagued by the drug menace. Well, the last one is true. You can hardly expect populist politicians and law enforcement officers to refer to drug pushers and criminals as upstanding pillars of the local community. I really do feel that the prosecution is at a loss if this is its circumstantial evidence for proving the existence of a common criminal plan. The same goes for the seventh supposed indicator of criminality, which is based on the names created for the two police operations Double Barrel and Tokhang, along with their supposed evocation of firearms metaphors. While the source for this particular gem, witness P1207, a self-confessed murderous villain, might have guns perpetually on his mind and insert their imagery into his daily speech, it does not mean that those who formulated the anti-drugs policy were acting under a similar caprice when they devised the nomenclature for these two particular police operations. And of course, there were other police operations with completely different imagery, such as the one-time, big-time operation referred to by a few prosecution witnesses, and the riding in tandem operation. The mind can only boggle as to what type of nefarious imagery the prosecution believes that last title evokes. None of the indicators I have mentioned up until now have shown in any way a mutual meeting of minds between alleged co-perpetrators, evincing a communality of purpose or an agreement to act in an illegal fashion. Of course, the prosecution has shown us pictures of the alleged co-perpetrators uttering comments similar to those issuing from Rodrigo Duterte. But this does not indicate a meeting of minds, as I will elaborate shortly. The eighth factor, purportedly evincing a plan of agreed criminality, is set out or a solidarity of intent as would be required for a common criminal plan or a common plan. Concerning and coming to the ninth category of circumstantial proof for a common criminal plan, the prosecution relies on what it believes to be the Duterte's administration's unabashed publication of statistics recording the number of deaths occasioned in the context of the so-called war on drugs. But let us just look at how and where the statistics relied upon were being published. In two government reports, the first of which being the Duterte administration's year-end report for 2017, totaling 63 pages, covering every sector of government and the economy, and of which just 2 pages are devoted to policing activities. We can give you the document ID number shortly. It's on the screen. While the deaths of 3,967 drug personalities mentioned are indeed recorded, as Ms. Robin Croft so helpfully pointed out in her presentation, and are not insubstantial, these deaths comprise a fraction of the 118,287 total arrests for drug-related activities, especially when the government is conducting special operations in a concerted drive to curb the narcotics problem. Such statistics are certainly not indicative of a wholesale policy of murder designed to supplant the process of law. If they were, then certain Latin American state parties would have regularly equaled or exceeded the Philippines in the number of law enforcement killings per capita of the population. What is quite egregious, however, regarding the prosecution's reliance on a 2017 Key Achievement Report is the way in which it glosses over, or rather ignores, those pages which do not suit its case theory. Take, for example, pages 28 of the document, which highlights the fact that 1,900 drug-related investigations had been carried out against law enforcement officers in the preceding year, with 375 police officers being dismissed, including the 2 policemen involved in the murder of Karl Arnaiz, who were later convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment. These policemen were affiliated with the Caloocan City Police Station, and where, so the report mentions, 1,000 personnel belonging to that station were sent for retraining. To conclude, this document, far from being evidence of a conspiracy hatched between co-perpetrators, is in fact a testament to the Duterte administration's respect for the rule of law and written proof of its intolerance for rotten apple police officers. As for the second official publication, which is supposed to substantiate the criminal plan, we turn to the 2016 annual report issued by the Philippine National Police. The statistics are quoted, with all respect, in a misleading fashion. The tables used by De La Rosa, and particularly the pie chart, show a remarkably low incidence of deaths in comparison to arrests and voluntary surrenders. Obviously, the misleading aspect of that is the prosecution's representation of the statistics, not De La Rosa's. So, coming to the 10th and final source of circumstantial evidence, supposedly supporting the mutually agreed nature of the criminal plan. And this is the fact that the extrajudicial killings, to quote the prosecution's words, followed the same patterns and modus operandi, with the perpetrators covering their tracks. But here, let me ask a question which begs an answer. If the Duterte administration was so barefaced as to openly declare its intent to kill drug users and pushers and celebrate this, as the prosecution argues, in official governmental publications, why would it encourage the perpetrators to go to such lengths to disguise such an intent? I mean, of course, anything's possible. But I'm just pointing out the internal contradiction in the prosecution's case theory. In any event, as they say in English, there is more than one way to skin a cat. And the differing types of modus operandi that we have encountered in the prosecution's 49 incidents of murder involve all conceivable modes of butchery, ranging from strangulation, suffocation, to stabbing and shooting. Now, assuming that the prosecution can overcome the hurdle of proving the existence of a common criminal plan, how has it shown that the so-called co-perpetrators coordinated between themselves to reach a mutual agreement to execute it? Well, it hasn't. All it can do is show a selection of comments made by Mr. Duterte's closest colleagues in government, and all of which